give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs. You know what he was going to do? He was going to tear down the vines on there with the grapes on it and plant veggies and stuff like that out there, or flowers. Just going to decorate the palace, make it look pretty. Say, give me thy vineyard that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house. And here's, now listen to the package. Listen to the sales pitch that Ahab says. I will give it thee, or I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it. Or, if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. Now that's the sales pitch that Ahab made. Now I'm gonna stop right here. We'll talk about several things. I'll probably not get through with this. In fact, I know I won't. So we'll continue this maybe next week if see what happens or whatever. But I want you to hear me out on this. You're the head of the clan. That's your family. Okay. Now I'm going to speak to the guys just for a minute. Guys, listen up. In case you didn't know, in case you haven't caught on by now, I'm a guy. All right? I know what it's like. I know I share the same skin you got. I got the same kind of flesh you have. Got the same kind of brain that most of you have. I get it. I've dealt with it. I've been through it. I know. All right? I know. Ladies are going, what? You know what? Guys here, okay? And ladies, you can make the same application. God gives you a matriarchy. There's nothing unbiblical about that. But I just deal with the guys for a minute. And ladies, you can then apply this to you as well. Your vineyard is your wife and your children, and then eventually your grandchildren, and so on and so on. I would love for nothing better than on the day that I die to be surrounded by my wife, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren, or whatever. I would love that, just the whole room full of my family. That is a very valuable thing to me. And God has made it valuable to me. Because in my youth, when I'm just getting married, I'm out at college for 3 years, and so I'm pretty much living on my own. And nobody's telling Mike what to do. So now I get married, and that's a big transition for me, because now when I think about, hey, I'm just going to go do this, I got to drag a wife along with me now. And so I had to make this transition in life to where there's somebody else that matters other than me. So God slowly but surely is showing me, Mike, you've got other things to tend to. Now I'm giving you responsibility. I wanted to, right then, as soon as I got married, I wanted to go pastor a church, and God put the kibosh on that. He put the skids on it, and he said, and he wouldn't let me do it. Wouldn't let me go back to college, wouldn't let me go pastor a church anywhere. And what I figured out was God wanted me to learn how to take care of a family first. And so he made me grow up, and I spent several years working and trying to feed a family. That's what God made me do. And then these children are born, these girls. We had all girls at first, 3 girls. And God is making them precious to me over time. And then there was a time when it finally just really sunk in and hit home with me. Mike, you could lose everything that you've got. I didn't want that. I did not want that. So that vineyard became precious to me. So, and I'm only saying what happens in probably most men's minds who are married. So don't look at your husband, ladies, and going, you've been thinking that on me? Boy, when we get home, I'm going to get you. Don't do that. Because probably, ladies, you thought the same thing. And that is the thought of selling your vineyard or trading it in. Look at what Ahab was offering. Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house, and I will give thee for it a what? A better vineyard. Well, let's see, Ahab. If you've got a better vineyard than mine, why don't you just keep it, and I'll just keep mine? Probably every married individual at one time or another, maybe multiple times, has been tempted with the idea that maybe the next woman that I'm with will be better than this one. And it's a lie. It's a setup. It's a lie is what it is. Or surely, and you gals are getting told by your friends, oh, girl, hon, you could do a lot better than that. And all of a sudden that starts getting in here. And you start listening to that, you're going, you know what, I think I can. I think I can do better than that. So then that's when you take the duck lip picture on Facebook or whatever. Okay? You're selling out. You're being tempted to sell or trade in your vineyard for what you've been told or what you perceive is a better one than what you've got. And it's a lie, and it's a setup. And Ahab here is the devil offering you the exchange. He's offering it to you. Hey, I got a better one here. But what did he do in the Garden of Eden? Here, Eve had access to the tree of life and the fruit that was on there. What did he do? He went to Eve with a better one. A better fruit. Oh, this one. What, you didn't know about this one? God didn't tell you that it'd turn you into gods if you ate that one. Oh, really? And she fell for it. She traded it in. And I'm just telling you, guys, don't do it. It's a setup. It is an absolute setup. Or he said, I'll offer it to you. I'll give thee the worth of money. I'll give you the worth of it in money. Now, I know it is incumbent upon the man to be the primary financial burden bearer of the family. I understand that. And God makes us all different. There are some men who, they just work with their hands. They work hard with their muscles and their back. And that's their lot in life. And that seems to make them happy. They don't earn, $250,000 a year, but they're happy. Okay? But even a guy that does make a lot of money, or a guy that there's always that draw on us to make more money, to make more. So what is it going to require to make more money? More work, more hours at the office, more work overtime at the plant, more jobs on the job site, or whatever it is, more sales that you can do. There's that pressure on us to get more money. And what you'll end up doing is trading in your vineyard just because you get more money out of it. I knew a guy. My wife worked with his wife. I didn't know him very well, but he was one of these. He was one of these over-the-road salesmen. Not like selling vacuum cleaners. I mean, he was a company representative from some. I don't know what kind of company it was, but he was pretty successful, and they had him on the road doing demos for corporations, things like that, and he was running all over the place. Had another woman on the side, probably had several of them, and then he'd come home like on a Thursday or whatever. Friday morning he would get up. He was a semi-pro bass fisherman. He had this magnificent bass boat that was paid for by a company, and he wore the endorsement hats, everything. So what did he do all weekend? He went off fishing all weekend. He had a wife. He had a daughter. They were still married, but he traded them in for the worth of it in money. What are you going to have when you die? Nothing. So the decision there, it's not right. It doesn't make sense. It's better to keep the vineyard than it is to trade it off for something that you perceive as better, because it's not actually better. Guys, when you marry a woman and you go to another woman, you know what you have? A woman. Ladies, the same thing. Men are pigs. The first guy left the toilet seat up, the next guy's going to leave the toilet seat up. That's what you're going to have to deal with. But let me move on here. Let me get to where Jezebel slips in here. And I made this analogy of the family or churches. And buddy, I want to tell you what, I know all about this stuff because it hit me at one point or another. Churches or ministries. A better vineyard. You know what that is in church terms? Having a mega church. Or a better program than what you see. The old church paradigm is we show up for church, we sing a few hymns, the pastor gives a sermon out of the scriptures, and we have an invitation, and then we go home and have dinner. That's the old paradigm. Oh, there's got to be something better than this. So then we started having programs, and we started changing the services a little bit. We started doing this, and we started doing that. And now all of a sudden now that old King James Bible that's being preached, that's not really, that we can't get a crowd here. And in a lot of pastors' minds, and I know exactly what I'm talking about because I was going to do this. And why was I going to do it? Because I was being offered the tantalizing thing of having a better church and more money. Because I figured, if we're running 75, if I can get 150 in here, can you imagine the tithe money coming in from that? And that's what I wanted. That was my goal. That was why I was doing what I was doing back then. And I had the offer of trade. See, this vineyard, this church that I'm sitting here in right now has been part of my life since I was 8 years old. This is my vineyard. It was handed down to me by some faithful men who've now gone on to be with the Lord. Pastors that had authority over me in the formative years of my life. One that baptized me. One that put his arm around me as I announced my call to the ministry. And showed me the work of the pastor. Those men, some are dead, some are retired now. Some of the men in this church, they've gone on to be with the Lord. They handed me the keys to the vineyard, and they said, Mike, take good care of this. I take that very seriously, very seriously. But at one point, I was very tempted to trade it in for a better vineyard or more money. The Bible is our vineyard. You have in your hand an authorized Bible handed down to you by a series of manuscripts and previous editions and prayed over, and men were killed as a result of protecting the sanctity of your Bible.